Oh, well, he is so wrong.
I don't think I suffer from apnea, but I think I'm gonna have
That
to.
is so wrong.
I'm gonna have to start drinking during the day, that's all.
Downtown, we should have a non-viewing party, because you're not supposed to look at it. So we ought to have a non-viewing block party downtown, don't you think?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want me to go see if I can find me a pin at Ryan's desk?
I know, yeah. Spray it.
Okay.
Dina. So,
So they are not, we're not waiting for them. is that
Laura
what you
was not going to be able to, Dina wasn't 100% sure at the time, but not likely.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Total obscuration, they call it. I think that was the word. That's not a real word. It's going to be 2 minutes and
Obscuration or-
40.2 seconds.
Okay.
We'll hold it to that.
and that's the longest possible, and we have the longest
Yeah.
possible right here.
Obscuration.
We have to start early and go late.
Yeah.
I think you should close City Hall that day so all the employees can go lay on their back in the parking lot. Sometimes we do that anyway. Yes, it would be a bonding experience. Okay, since we're not waiting for anyone else, shall we go ahead and begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll take notes.
Thank you all very much, and thank you all for being here. And before we do anything else, we're going to welcome our new member. Welcome to your first meeting, and now it's time for you to make your five-minute speech.
Don't get him started.
5 minutes is all you get, then.
That's it. Then we,
Forget about it.
okay. If everyone will take a moment and look at the agenda.
You have to do a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Oh, I guess I would do the roll call then.
Okay.
I'm not used to doing this without Carla.
I know. But I knew you had the folder, so there you go.
Yes. Get the right color. Lots of stuff in here.
It's tough when your key person is missing.
Yes. All right, Kathy Waltz.
Here.
Robert Mueller.
Here.
Kelly Fowler. Here. Jan Bronze.
Here.
Sarah Menard.
Here.
Mary Beth Ferguson. Dina Kreitler. And Laura Oliver. So we have, and Beth Caldwell.
Yeah. She does count on this.
7 present, 3 absent. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
And Tom is actually here for, he's early for the TTC. He's not on TAC, right?
Oh,
But
okay.
we're glad to have him here and
Absolutely.
welcome him.
You get another shot at that speech now.
Later. He'll be working on it.
Okay. All right. Did everyone have a chance to look at the agenda? Do we have any changes or corrections or additions to the agenda? If there are none, then I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now we'll take a moment and look at the minutes of the previous meeting. And if you read it online, does anyone have any changes or corrections or anything at this point that we should address in the previous minutes?
found Mary Beth in the other room.
Okay.
Wandering around.
Welcome, Mary Beth.
Thanks.
Okay. If there are no corrections to the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Sarah is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you. Alicia, you are a citizen. Are you here to be heard or just take notes? Okay. Well, welcome to you too. We're always glad when you're here. All right, Sandra, that makes you next.
Next up, okay, so we did not have a meeting in January, but we had one good weekend in January. Those who are restaurant owners, shop owners, B&B owners, you probably can attest to that. There was one decent weekend in the month of January. The number of visitors at the Welcome Center was 494 in January compared to 574 last January. So January is always a slow month for us. As we know, we're still coming back from the flood and the poor weather. We did, however, have a fabulous last weekend in January, and we had a fabulous weekend for the weekend of Chocolate Walk and the Queen's Fall. Chocolate Walk sold out, 300 tickets, and we had nice foot traffic on the streets that day, and that evening was the Queen's Fall, and the Queen's Fall had, I think, a second to record attendance, so they were very pleased. And thank you to the paper for the wonderful photo collage that they put together. They did a full-page photo collage about the Chocolate Walk and a full-page photo collage about the Queen's Fall, and we had a lot of really nice comments on that, so thank you to the Herald for doing that. The Welcome Center did serve as a check-in point for the Chocolate Walk, and we also have at this time, and if you haven't been down to the Welcome Center to see it yet, it will only be there for another couple of weeks, and that is the traveling exhibit about Lewis and Clark in their journeys up the Mississippi and across the Missouri River. It's from the state archives in Missouri, and it really features the activities of Lewis and Clark only in Missouri. So normally you hear about everything that they did all across the continent, which is fabulous stuff, of course, but this is really pretty well focused on Missouri, so it's very interesting, and I would encourage you to stop in if you haven't had a chance to do so. We've had quite a few people who have read about it in the paper or social media and have come in to see it, and we have a couple of groups of school children who are going to come down expressly to see that because they're studying Lewis and Clark in school right now. So
It is a very good exhibit. Very
is,
good exhibit.
yes. Thanks, and we were able to secure that through the Secretary of State's office through their state archives program. On February 26th will be the first art walk for the year 2016, and because the Bolduc House is not open yet, they're going to be opening March 1st. They're also, their Jean-Baptiste Ballet House is not open, and so the artists, collectively known as Dommage, who generally exhibit in that space, will not be able to do so for the February Art Walk. So they approached me and I agreed to host them at the Welcome Center. So we will be hosting a special exhibit at the Welcome Center for the February Fourth Friday Art Walk by the artists of Dommage, which are 5 local artists who get together and exhibit their work, usually at the Jean-Baptiste Ballet House. But the theme is going to be miniature, so everything will be smaller than an 8.5 by 11, and we'll fit the whole thing into the Misselhorn Gallery. So we might have some overflow into the main gallery of the Welcome Center. So
I think you read the minds of several of us here, like, how is she going to get that in there?
yeah, so we've been rearranging things, and they've come over and done some pre-planning. I think it'll really be a nice event. And because it is the February 4th Friday, the theme for Downtown Renewal is Mardi Gras. So we will also be giving out Mardi Gras beads to the first 50 patrons who come to the Welcome Center that night. And I know a lot of the other merchants and shops and galleries that will be participating will have their own little something special going on to fit the Mardi Gras theme. But we'll be giving out beads at the Welcome Center, so be sure to stop by and see us. We have officially started the process of signing up volunteers for the Saturdays in St. John program. So if you and your significant other or a girlfriend or whoever would like to dress up in period attire and walk around, yeah, so I was thinking 2 girls, but I suppose, you know, if you really want to get things stirred up. So you can sign up at the Welcome Center. Please call us, 883-7097. Basically, every Saturday from Memorial Day through Labor Day, we would like to have greeters in costume going around and popping in and out of shops and saying hello to visitors on the street, stopping to have their picture taken with them, and giving them information about the houses. We have a little cheat sheet for you, so you don't have to worry, gee, I don't know when the houses were built. If somebody asks me a question, I'll be put on the spot. So,
What times on Saturdays?
I'm making it flexible for people. Generally, we'd like for it to be after 10 a.m. because thinking, you know, if people are here visiting and they might be checking out of their bed and breakfast, usually they're out of there by 10 or 11 if they're slow, right? So I would like for it to be after 10 a.m. And then sometimes people are busy in the morning and I'll take them if they can only go from 11 to 1 or 1 to 3. We're very flexible. So we're doing that, and we will be also looking at opportunities to add demonstrations or musicians, just like we did last summer. And so would like to continue that, but certainly would like to make sure that we have every weekend covered with the strolling greeters. Coming up this, let's see, this is outreach. Oh, I'll skip that. I think that's everything from my, I do have some financial information that I wanted to hand out too.
Does anyone have any questions on anything Sandra talked about?
This is the time of year when we do lots of analysis and looking back and so on, and here is a list for the TAC members of the tourism-related financials for each of the months, October, November, December, and January. Revenues and expenses that are related to tours, printing, our co-op advertising, our regular budget department marketing, and then you'll see meetings and conferences and travel and lodging and so on. So I'll pass this around, and would take one and pass it along, and pass these over there. So that list that I just described is the short list that is printed landscape, I suppose. And you can see January was mostly paying bills as opposed to revenues of any sort. We did just recently send out quite a bit of mailings in the month of January, so I guess that'll show up on our next report.
What were the mailings? I'm just curious.
So we sent a mailing out to all of the senior activity centers. Sometimes these are residential facilities, but sometimes it's like the senior, like the Go-Getters or the Walking Club or something like that. Anything that we could find in St. Louis that was any sort of a senior activity program where they bring people out and about. We did a little research and put the list together, and Sent them, a cover letter and an example of a suggested itinerary, including shopping and dining and our brochures. And so we sent those out. We periodically send out information to the travel and tour agents that we have on file. We do get quite a bit of interest by senior groups, so we thought it would be good to kind of target the ones that were within easy. And every now and then we'll send out information to like Red Hat societies or bank, like senior saver clubs or special saver clubs of some sort.
I think all of those are good.
Yeah, we're constantly, doing the research and putting together lists and sending out that information. So, so on the other side of that are the one that's printed landscape. You can see there at the bottom of the FY 2015, we ended 2015 fiscal year with 23,163. This is the 2% lodging tax. And this, I also will be reporting this during the Tourism Tax Commission meeting, but I thought it was just interesting information for this group to have too. So we ended the year, the strongest year that we've had in the past 5 years on the 2% lodging tax. So, it's pretty consistent, but we're pleased with that. And you can see where we stand in the first 4 months of the year. Each property can report either monthly or quarterly, so you have every now and then an outlier. Like it looks like October is not a popular month for people to report, but obviously November was. So when you average those out, it comes up to a pretty strong first 4 months of the year for the lodging tax. And as I said, I'll report more on that during the Tourism Tax Commission meeting, but I just wanted this group to have that too. The other thing that we've been tracking lately is the people that sign in through our guest book. At the end of the year, we take those and, Tom, if you wouldn't mind, I'll pass those down too. So we take those and tally it up in terms of looking for patterns. Patterns of people visiting from out of state, patterns, here, Jan is another one, of people from other countries as well. And you have to remember these are just data derived from the people signing the guest book. And based on our figures, we think that that's about usually between 27 and 30% of the total number of people will actually take time to stop and sign the guest log. So it's not based on 100% of people, and it's just an interesting target. So you'll see at the bottom of the right-hand column, visitors from Missouri. Obviously, the St. Louis metro region, as you would expect, is our strongest area of draw. And down at the bottom, in 2015, we started to break out Cape Girardeau and Jackson area as a separate from, we used to be just included in all other Missouri.
Oh.
So we can't compare one year to another in that one, but it's our second highest. So again, that's what we usually try to really emphasize is people to come for that, it's an hour to get away and enjoy St. Genevieve. But you can see, you would expect that the Chicago area, Kansas City, Springfield, Columbia, those are all showing up as our most frequent visitors.
This is very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there's that. And I think that's the bulk of my report. I have some things to report on later, but.
Okay. All right.
A list of events that have not had event forms put in yet.
Yes. So it's always interesting to work with all the different personalities and everything, but we now have event forms in for everything but the county fair and the spirit reunion, although we know when that's going to be, and generally we use the same description. So the spirit reunion, the county fair, and I think that's it. We got 4th of July in. I think those are the only two that we were really waiting on. There might be one other activity that the Bolduc hasn't decided on yet, 100% what they're going to do with it, but
And have you got those pretty much entered in all the free websites?
Yes, everything that we can enter free has been, as well as on our Visit St. Gen website. They're all on there. I did notice in going through it over these snow days, there are a couple of little tweaks that we need to make, like maybe some artwork here that's not quite right, and you know, and of course he does his best to match something up that he thinks is going to work, but so we're going to send him a few little changes on that for the Visit St. Gen website. The others, it's pretty much, they take what you send them.
You might just send it over to the one across the river.
Yeah, for our new friends over in Prairie to Road.
Well, not only that, but what is the website, the Mississippi River Trails or?
Oh, the Great River Road one?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Hey there.
Yeah,
So,
just prevent a little confusion
yes,
down the road.
there are always challenges
Yeah.
with that website. So since we're talking about opportunities to submit things, we have submitted a lot of information to the National Geographic website, and I thank those around the table who took time to make sure that their property, or you know, if they volunteer for organizations, to make sure that those descriptions got out there. They sent me a list of all of the things in the community, so we're kind of trying to go through that and see, you know, sometimes there might have even been duplications, like, and that's okay, like 2 people might have nominated Hawn State Park as the greatest place to do a hike. So we're trying to reconcile those differences and make suggestions for them, but they've been great to work with so
I
far.
noticed, I was looking at some I'd submitted, and they still had one pending on Memorial Cemetery, so I have to email them and find out what's going on there.
Yeah, they're usually really responsive.
Yeah. Did you submit that?
Yeah.
And I don't think that was one where we had 2 submissions.
I'll check with them, I just noticed it.
It might be something like, what are the hours of hours of accessibility? But if you don't get an answer, let me know, and
I've got the edited Mississippi. That's their email address.
yes. But I've got their personal email, so if you don't get one from the generic one, let me know and I can reach out to them too.
Thank you.
Question. Just a minor question. Do you have any information on uptime versus downtime of the ferry in January? And why it was down for a little while?
Well, it was,
Just pure curiosity.
yeah, so it was down several times in January, obviously because of flooding.
Yeah.
And then there was river ice. But then there were times I'm thinking it was actually in February when they decided to close it just because it was slow for a few days.
Uh-huh.
And we try our best to keep up with them in terms of, well, the standard operating procedure, now that we can make changes on the website, is for the ferry operator, if they change from operating to non-operating or vice versa, the procedure is for them to get in touch with us. Mm-hmm. It almost always happens. Every now and then there's some little thing where they don't. And so unfortunately, if that's a time when they've told us that they're closed and then they start operating again and we didn't know they were operating again, that can be a detriment. But
Yeah.
it's more often than not been us making the changes, because it usually happens after hours or on the weekend,
right. Sure.
more so than Tower Rock. But every now and then, they'll be the first ones to make the change. But specifically to your question about the number of days open versus closed, I'm sure that that data exists somewhere.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Were you getting comments from guests or?
Well, I can't remember which weekend it was, but it was on a weekend where there didn't seem to be any apparent reason, unless it was river ice.
Well, something that can impact the ferry's operation that landlubbers don't think about so much as wind.
Oh, yeah, sure. But that's what I said.
We've had some weird wind days here in the last couple of months where it's been very strong wind, and if that occurs, they have no choice. They can't run.
Yeah.
So there's those kinds of odd things that can happen too.
Yeah, but they've been really good about getting in touch with us. Well, because we get so many phone calls, we're the default phone number. Mm-hmm. And in addition to trying to keep the website current, we get lots of phone calls from people, and sometimes they're actually sitting on the bank, and they call us, is that ferry operating? And hopefully the answer is yes, because it's really discouraging to be sitting on the bank and find out that now you have to go to the Chester Bridge, but.
Is there any, I haven't been there in a long time recently, but is there signage with that phone number on the Illinois side?
They put up new signage
Yeah.
just this past year.
I know they put it up here.
And
but-
I suppose it must have the phone number because that's how they always call us, I guess. But I know there's signage on the Illinois side as well as our side. Yeah.
But with the Welcome Center's phone number? We do get complaints about that because you have to drive so far to get to the Illinois side landing that people get discouraged when they realize, I just put all those miles on for nothing. Now I got to head down to Chester.
Yeah, I mean, one thing they could consider doing is putting a sign over at Illinois 3 before they
Yeah,
turn off.
exactly.
Yeah, before they drive
So
all
they
the
can
way
make
down
that
to the
decision
river.
then.
Yeah.
If we were going to suggest that they do that, where would we suggest they do a comparable sign on this side?
Well, this side, they don't have to go that far out of the
Yeah.
way, but we could put it,
At the point or something.
oh, yeah. Out here in the commercial district off of 61 and 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could do that.
But it's not a real hardship if they just drive down to the landing.
Yeah,
They now have a sign that says closed.
it could be, one of those, you flip it, open, close kind of a
Yeah.
thing, and anybody we could go by and flip it then or something,
Well, they're always there, so they pretty well handle that. But the suggestion about having one preemptively on the Illinois side,
Like in Ruma, is
Yeah,
that what
Ruma
you're
would be a
talking
good
about?
place.
Yeah.
MODOK actually.
MODOK would be fine.
Yeah.
That's,
Before you head out across those bottoms
Yeah.
there.
yeah. At the Buccaneer or whatever.
Good idea.
So who should I approach about that? Would that be Tower Rock? Or
Ronnie.
the fair,
First, Ronnie.
Okay.
First, approach Ronnie with it, and then he'll bring it to the board.
okay. All right. Suggestions.
Are we moving on? If so, you would be next.
Well, from what I've heard, it is moving its way through the Department of Interior. It's at the level somewhere between what's called the head of planning and Director Jarvis at this point.
Need to introduce what we're talking about.
Pardon?
For the TV audience, maybe?
the
Oh, we're
National
talking about
Parks-
the National
Yeah,
Park Service, sorry.
After it goes through Director Jarvis, it goes to the solicitors, which I assume are the lawyers, and then it goes to the head of the Department of Interior, the secretary, and they send it to Congress. So trying to find out exactly within that three level of between Jarvis and the head of planning where it's at, and haven't found that out yet.
Well, it's just exciting it's that far.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful.
There was a very good meeting up in St. Louis. Carl Eckberg and Hank Johnson gave a talk on the National Park Study, and it was very well attended. I'd say over 100 people were there. I know Kathy, you and Sandra were there, and thought there was a lot of interest from the group. And a lot of them asked, where can I see a copy of the report? And I've asked Tim Good where they put it in St. Louis. I think it was in some of the libraries up there, like St. Louis County, but I'm
Yeah,
not
it
sure.
was, but I can't recall which ones it
Yeah.
was
But it
placed.
was a good meeting, I thought.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
We had about 20 people from St. Genevieve there out of the 100 that were present at the meeting. And so I felt like the presence of 80 from St. Louis was really encouraging, and certainly the presence of 20 people from St. Genevieve on a Sunday to go up to St. Louis and listen to the presentation was also very exciting. And I think they were duly impressed that we had such a contingent from St. Genevieve there.
I think so. I think so. It was very, very good. Hank and Eckberg did excellent jobs putting that together, and so did Bob. Yeah. And so did the chair guy.
Yeah, from Webster.
there's one guy who's assigned to like set up this room at Missouri Historical Society. And I think he put out like 40 chairs in this room and a podium at the front end, you know, and all that. And people kept coming. And this man was running down hallways and there was nobody else around to help him. He couldn't find another guy. And so how many chairs can you carry by yourself? And this poor guy is carrying like 3 or 4 chairs. And there were chairs like those chairs in the back of the room there. Not just little easy to carry chairs. And he spent probably a solid hour putting up extra chairs. And when we left, I thought, yeah, now he's got to go carry them all back down the hall again. But it was very well attended. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to new business. And Sandra, the Missouri Travel Guide?
So I gave everyone a copy of the, this is the 2016 Missouri Travel Guide. This is the official publication that is given out all across the state at the visitor centers. Okay. At the visitor center and in response to inquiries that come into the State Department of Tourism or Division of Tourism. And so this is a significant opportunity for us. And you'll see page 111 in the orange section, southeast. We had a total of 24 listings, which are just the listings of attractions in the area. So when someone is deciding where they want to go in the southeast section of the state, St. Genevieve has more than any other community in southeast Missouri, except for Cape Girardeau. And you would expect Cape Girardeau to have more attractions. But when we compare even to the area that St. Louis is in, of course, St. Louis exceeds us, but we exceeded even St. Charles, which I thought was really exciting.
Yes, that is very exciting.
So we had, just to summarize, we had 24 listings and attractions, 6 of our B&Bs, 1 in camping, 2 in state parks, and 1 local lodging, which obviously is the Microtel by Wyndham. And you can see, if you look at page 111, we actually, in our budget, actually paid for a highlighted listing. So I did French Colonial St. Genevieve, and that's the kind of the orange box at the bottom of that section there. And then when you look at the bed and breakfast, which is on page 115, you have all of the St. Genevieve B&Bs there, and St. Mary's. Lucky for us, they have them listed alphabetically, so we do get the, sort of the bonus of having the White Cliff Manor and all of our historic district B&Bs all together there. So this is really great. We have a supply of these at the Welcome Center. If there's anyone who would like extra copies, please don't hesitate to stop by and pick them up. We're happy to, to provide those. The 24 listings don't happen by magic. It takes a lot of encouragement, and I'd like to thank Bob for his help in that. And I know that Kelly and Jan have even been involved in that in the past. And so we have a really good relationship with the people at the Missouri Division of Tourism who put this together, and they are even taken to, if they have a question, they'll reach out to us and say, we noticed that one of your listings is about to expire for a business in your community. Do you want to get in touch with them? Because they stay up for a certain amount of time, and if you don't renew it, then they just expire. So I think it's important to, and it's certainly significant that our business owners and attractions are taking the time to do that, and like to thank them for for making sure that all the great things to see and do in St. Genevieve are all accounted for, so.
Sandra's being a little modest, she did a lot of work this winter to, we had some that were no longer in business to get those off the list. And you gotta deal with those on a routine basis, but you also gotta get the new people on as they come into the business. And I think it's annually by June. If you are one of the kinds of things like a B&B or a restaurant, if you want to get in this kind of book, you have to have your listing in
The new
by
business,
June.
yeah.
But you can put a business like a shop on at any time during the year, and it'll show up on the electronic version. But there was some strange things going on when we looked at the
There were
website.
quite a few, yeah.
But Sandra got most of those taken care of.
Yeah, before it went to print. I think there might be still, is the listing for art and antiques still in here?
Yes.
Okay. So, but, the good thing is that we have other businesses that have taken the place of
But
those
this-
businesses.
Yeah, that was
so-
kind of like a last year,
Yeah.
June, though, they were still active, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Bob. There's a lot of the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff that has to happen, and it's kind of surprising sometimes how much just the, routine maintenance kind of things are out there for this sort of a thing. And, frankly, that's one of the reasons why we have such a good showing. And when we talk about tourism with other communities that have huge budgets, they think St. Genevieve's got it all going on, and it's not, as a benefit of what I've been doing. I think it's a benefit of what everybody has been doing for a small community to pull together and make sure that we're putting our best foot forward all the time and making sure that everything's in there, so that when somebody's making their decision about where to go, we have a better than even chance of getting out there. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with everyone to make sure that you all had a copy of it. Year-end summary, so this is also the time of year when the state of Missouri releases their figures for tourism. And we talked at our previous meeting that the year 2014 was the best that we had ever had, and we exceeded 20,000. And the year 2015, even though it slowed down at the end of the year, we still beat our best year, which was great, by about 3%, but still, we beat it. And so we were at 21,000 plus. And just by contrast, the state of Missouri counts 40 million visitors, and the tourism industry in the state of Missouri is a 12.4 billion in tourism spending by the, the numbers that they figure. And that's 524 million in taxes in the state of Missouri from the tourism industry, and 297,000 jobs in Missouri are dependent upon the tourism industry. In our county, that's 15.7 million in economic activity across the county and 493 jobs. So those 21,000 plus people, that's, of course, just what we log through the Welcome Center, and I realize that's not the sum total. But so those 21,000 people are in some way responsible for those 493 jobs. So I just wanted to share that with people because this is, again, the time of year when we're looking at all those kinds of things.
Okay. Do we have anything on upcoming outreach activities?
Yes, I'm really excited about this one. So last year at this time, if you recall, and Bob and Mary Beth and Jim and Linda and members of my staff, we all spent a whole weekend in St. Charles at the Working Women Survival Show. It was a show that we hadn't done in many years, and I thought I'd, explore those waters again. And I felt that that there might be a better avenue for our dollars and time spent there, because while we saw a lot of people, I felt like a lot of them were just sort of racing down the aisles picking up the free stuff and not necessarily the type of people who were likely to be in our target market to come and spend a weekend or a few days in St. Genevieve. So this year, instead of signing up, and that was an expensive show, it's several $1,000s to do that, and I thank our volunteers for their help in being there. But instead of doing that one again, I found a show also in St. Charles that's sponsored by one of the radio stations, and it's one evening, and they get almost 1,000 people, and it's wine and chocolate. So, you know, what's not to like about an event that's wine and chocolate? And just looking at, you know, their photos and demographics and everything, I think it could be a better spend of our time and dollars. And, you know, I just keep looking and tweaking and trying to find the right mix. So that's this Friday night in St. Charles at the Foundry Arts Council. So hopefully it'll be a good crowd.
Missouri wine speaker, or just, what kind of wine?
There are Missouri wines, yeah.
Do you know if any of our wineries are going to be there?
So I did send it to all of our wineries and asked them if they wanted to, you know, like co-sponsor or anything like that. They're a little bit overwhelmed by these kinds of, you know, events where, you know, so they could have poured wine there. I didn't sign up to do any wine pouring, although we could have. But there would be Missouri wines there. I'll be having, you know, information about all of our wineries, all of our lodging, all of our attractions there. So that's this Friday night, and it's the wine and chocolate event in St. Charles. So I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully we'll get lots of, we do a contest and people sign up and you ask for their permission, you know, to send them information about St. Genevieve. So it's another good way to get, you know, names and addresses and emails. And then we continue to send those people. We'll follow up with a postcard, you know, it's nice to see you at the show. And here's...
It does sound like it's probably more our targeted demographic.
Yes, yes.
And are you going to wear a costume?
You hadn't considered it.
I hadn't thought about that.
Oh, that always works.
Well, you put me on the spot.
We expect pictures.
I suppose I could. Yes.
You can wear your Queen's and King's Ball outfit.
Yeah, I could. You know, that's actually
Curb your
when Bob and
enthusiasm.
Linda and Mary Beth and Jim were there, they were dressed up in their costumes, so.
And if Linda can do it, you can do it.
There you go. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Next meeting, we'll all look at the pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that was that. Where was that at?
St. Charles Convention.
It's actually the Foundry Arts Center.
Oh.
Yeah,
Which
I've never been to.
It's just slightly north of, at the end of Old Town.
So I'll definitely
Right
be
on,
checking
I
out the
believe it's
competition.
right on 94.
So that's upcoming outreach.
Okay, and do we have any committee activities to report on at this point?
Well, the committee that was working on the sign for Out in White Country, the Tourism Tax Commission approved the funds to pay the rent, and then we got a bid from the company, and it came in at about $1,200 for the actual production and installation. So that committee agreed, and we've contacted the sign company, and weather permitting, they'll get that sign up Out in Wine Country. This is the one that we've been talking about that Beth had actually suggested. That would be at the intersection of
W.
WW and B.
and B and F.
Yeah, right there, right there.
And it was a bid because a condition of the sign, the property owner wanted the sign to be in conformance, if not kind of sort of look like an existing sign that's there. And so there wasn't a lot of choice about who's going to make the sign.
Yes. Yeah, she was very specific about that. And so signs was one, and then the other is in the area of internet. Our electronic committee tried to meet. We actually had, I met with Mary Beth individually and Dina individually and Bob individually. It just worked out better for people. But so we are going to be taking a look at the website, and we actually have grant funds to do a mobile responsive website. And so what we looked at specifically were examples of mobile responsive sites that other tourism destinations have put up, so that when you're looking at it on your phone, it's just basically the whole thing scrolls. Or if you're on a tablet device, you can scroll the whole thing. Right now we have, as you know, our stopgap is the iBrochure, which is kind of a static version of a mobile-friendly site, but it's still not mobile responsive. And so we looked at several examples of those, and be continuing to work with that committee on that action.
All right. Thank you very much. Always a good report. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for the good of the organization? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion, a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor to adjourn? Aye. All right. Thank you all very much. We're going to slide right into the next meeting.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sandra, if you'll do a roll call, please.
Robert Mueller,
Here.
Kathy Walsh,
Here.
Mary Beth Ferguson,
Here.
Tom Hooper,
Here.
Sabrina Ford,
Here.
and Beth Caldwell. Here.
Very good. Tom, welcome. I think you'll enjoy it. We don't always have a lot of business to do, but our task is to, it's a fiduciary task to deal with the lodging tax. It's a little bit different than the Tourism Advisory Council in that they are advisory. Here we are the ones that say how we're going to spend the money. So, welcome.
Thank you.
You have an agenda in front of you. Any
Yes.
changes or additions?
There being no changes or additions, I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. You have the minutes in front of you also from the, our last meeting, November 17th.
Do you need something? No, just in the front of it. Oh, okay.
If there's any changes or corrections, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Kathy, a second.
Second it.
Sabrina? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. In your packet, let's see, is there a financial report? So it looks like since the last meeting, we paid Madden Media about $607. And we had authorized some ads on KTRS, and that came in at $1,075. And the Madden Media again at the end of January, so about $874. What makes that go up and down? Is that how many hits you get on the?
Yes, we generally budget about 300 per month on the search engine marketing. And it depends on the actual hits. And it also, these can be, like the dollar amounts can be combined from different invoices. So if she has like 2 invoices, she'll put it on $1 amount. So it's not usually that much of a difference. But it just happens to be one check entry for the treasurer.
Okay, so we have a balance of $25,000. That's the carryover that we had plus what's come in already this fiscal year.
Yes.
Which is what you saw in that other report that Sandra handed out earlier, which is also in the back of this report. Mm-hmm. One of the things Pam does, I think, is goes back and she can tell the actual month when it, not when it came in, but when it was expensed or whatever, so we can really look more month to month. And she puts that out at the end of a quarter. She should have that about now, I think, in February, that one where she goes back and they have to report it by month, even though they only pay quarterly.
Right.
So she can go back and look at that. Are there any questions on the financial report? I can never remember if we have to approve that or not.
Yeah, we have to approve it.
Some organizations we do, some we don't. But I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
That's Sabrina?
Yeah. A
Second.
Kathleen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Guess I will go into old business. You want to kind of give an update on the search engine marketing and KTRS?
Yes, so we did, as you saw in the minutes from the previous meeting, we did approve 1 month advertising. You approved 1 month advertising with KTRS. And those ads ran basically during the month of December. Kind of a getaway to St. Genevieve, kind of an ad. And that was 1,000, well, it should be on here. KTRS was 1,075.
It must have all aired at the time when I listened to the radio, because I think I heard that ad
And we
many
were,
times.
yeah, well, I'm glad to know that. So that's the Big 550, the AM talk radio. We've also done some other radio advertising, but it's really good to hear that someone's hearing those.
Maybe you want to come to St. Genevieve.
Good.
Was that drive times or something like that?
Well, that's what I listen to in the morning when I get up, so it was, when I get ready to come to work time, I wasn't driving necessarily.
But everybody else is.
Everybody else is.
So, and then the search engine marketing, what we talked about and what we've approved so far, because of the way our fiscal year works, we approved sort of a couple of months at a time. And what I would like to do is to ask to approve, I'd really like to do 12 months at a time, but you know, you could do 6. So if we did that, we would be approving 300 per month, and that's search engine marketing with Bing and Google. And so we have a list of search terms, and we review those on a periodic basis. And, you know, the advantage that we have through the company that we use is that they can see the search terms that everyone else is using. And of course, I get reports on, you know, which are having the highest number of hits. But they can see the reports that everyone else has too. So even though our dollar spend in search engine marketing is not nearly, you know, as large as some of the big markets, the fact that we're out there means a lot. And when you look at, you know, when you look at the numbers across the state of Missouri, it really means a lot that St. Genevieve has a presence consistently on search engine marketing. So.
Well, I thought we were going to do an evaluation when we said the 3 months. And I guess by an evaluation, should Google Analytics show that we're getting something from that?
Yes, I actually have that in an electronic version that I could send out to the committee.
I'd like to look at that, I think. I don't have a problem with spending more money on it, but I think we ought to actually take a look at some numbers and see if it's helping or not.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the few things we can get numbers on.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. So consider that next month, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can send it out by email to people so they can see it.
Okay.
Can do that. I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but, oh, well, no, that's potential new initiatives.
Well, is there anything else on that one, in the old business? I wanted to bring up, we'd had a conversation about maybe using an iPad or a tablet as a way, and say in the microtel, to do restaurants or things like that, to make it easier for people to look it up. I did some checking. There's all kinds of stands available. They go anything from $75 to $250. Most of them take like 10-inch tablets. You can't get much bigger than that. Tablets, an iPad is almost $500 now for an Air iPad. The other ones, they do make stands for 10-inch Androids. Androids can. You want to talk about it? Go right ahead.
I'm sorry. It's funny because that's what I was almost going to bring up, and then I looked down and I saw new initiatives. So.
Well, I guess it was old business since we talked about it before.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and maybe what we might do is put one in the Welcome Center. I know you do a lot of interaction with people, but to try this out.
Yes.
Have one in the Welcome Center set up. Which would do both restaurants, shopping, and lodging. It would be kind of unfair to put a lodging one out in the microtel.
A lodging one? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You can actually customize the pages on each one.
I think that's a good idea. Let's try it out down there at the Welcome Center.
But it was just a thought after thinking about it.
Well, and that's why I did this. That's kind of why I did this research. So the largest size, as Bob pointed out, are the diagonal measurement of the screens. You've got 10 to 12 inches, basically. So you're looking at about the size of a sheet of paper in terms of the interactive space, and that's a pretty big tablet. I mean, that's a bigger tablet than I would want to carry around, but for this purpose, where people are interfacing with it, it seems to be the most popular one for that purpose. And they've actually come down in price quite a bit. You can see over there, we researched basically the company's website, whether it was Apple or Sony or Samsung, and then Amazon, Walmart, and Best Buy. The only one that was carried on all four of those was the iPad Pro, and you could see, of course, they're within $1 of each other. the Sony Xperia and the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro. Each of those were, within 50 or 100 and maybe $120 of the iPad. Some people are more fond of the Android interface versus the iPad interface, and then you have some people who are like exclusively iPad interface. So I guess what I was wanting to get from the committee was, and I think what you're saying helps me understand. So I think it might be good if we did this and tried it, if we like go through the setup of it, basically what screens are you going to be able to flip through down at the Welcome Center. And then, we were talking about how to draw more foot traffic, those who are already at the wineries, driving them towards St. Genevieve. So I would say that maybe the committee might want to think about down the road, maybe we start with just the one, get everything figured out how we want it. The one at Microtel, maybe 2 out in Wine Country, so that people can walk up and interact about historic St. Genevieve when they're in Wine Country. Because there are so many people who are coming just to go to the wineries that may never come down to the historic section. That's why we're putting the sign out there. So, and at these prices, I think that we could probably afford to do that. Because like Bob said, the stand itself is, you can pretty safely say that you can get a stand for about $150.
Did you find any that would hold the 12 inchers?
Yes, that's the only ones that that I included in the research that I did. So we were looking exclusively for ones that that would hold that size and that also lock.
Yes.
So there are, because you'll hear about this, there are tablet holders that also cover up the home screen, but that's why I included this page of information about how to lock your iPad or tablet into kiosk mode, because when you do this, they can't like just hit the home button and start surfing the internet in your lobby. Not like that's okay on their device, but not on your informational device. So you don't have to worry as much about covering up that home button. I think people are so used to being able to use that, as part of their navigation that you might not want to. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Those are the kinds of technologies that we looked at when we were looking at this.
So what's the stand cost?
They go from anywhere from $75 to, for an
Several hundred,
iPad
yeah.
10 to like $250, $300.
Yeah.
$325, yeah.
I
So
think
100, if you wanted to get kind of middle of the road when you're looking.
About $150 and up.
$150.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like total $5,000?
Well, I think you would, if you did all 4
right.
places, you'd probably be talking about close to probably 4 and a quarter.
Yeah, a little less than 1,000
Yeah.
per unit.
But I think we ought to set it up, like Sandra says, set one of them up so we can figure out the programming of the thing.
Yes.
Because I looked at apps, and you really don't need an app, I don't think.
No, it's all really on there. I mean, it's
Apps cost you $100 a year to maintain.
Yes.
And so just being able to go to a website or whatever would work, but I'd like to see a program set up.
Right.
And then.
do some trials on it.
Yeah. And I would think of the stand-up kind as opposed to a desktop one. We talked about it at your place. You wouldn't want to put it on the desk.
No.
You want to get it
Away from the desk.
right.
Direct that traffic.
Right.
Well, and it just is so much more high-tech. It's so much more contemporary, I think, to have a tablet interface than a laptop, for people to interface with. So, as Tom pointed out, roughly I think on probably the safe side, you could say 1,000 to 1,100 per unit, assuming, that we do all of the Yeah, the programming on it, which certainly we
I
can.
don't think it would be that hard, would it?
No, I don't think so either. And reading the, one of my main concerns, that's why I put, this is 12 pages long, this article, but it's very, it's very step by step. I mean, these things have been used for this, and so they've got it figured out. It's, there's a life hack for everything now, and how to lock your iPad into kiosk mode is plentiful out there on the internet.
When you take your family out to like restaurants and you have a young child with you, they bring out like a little Android in a little case, and if you go near the door, it'll turn off. You won't be able to use it, it's locked up. But they give it to your child to play games and stuff on. It's where the world's headed.
It's pretty amazing. They get 24 inches now.
Oh, yeah.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And old people like me. Big icons.
Big icons. Anyway, so so that was something we did talk about at one of our previous meetings, and so we had a chance to go back and, track down all that information. And
I'd entertain a motion to buy a system and just start
Get started with it.
evaluating it.
I'll make that motion.
Spend up to $1,100 on it.
Let's say 12 and be crazy.
Okay.
And he's got tax and shipping on it.
Yeah, that's, I'm thinking shipping.
So, got a motion to approve 1,200?
Tax and shipping, I believe, taxes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Beth, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Sandra.
Hopefully we'll have something for everybody to look at.
A show and tell for us.
There you go.
Set it up in.
That's right,
I
yeah.
guess you gotta plug it into a charger all the time too.
And the stands are wired for that.
So you just plug it into the bottom or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the cord goes up through.
So which unit are you gonna go with?
I might do a little more looking to confirm what I suspect, but I think there's probably a higher number of Apple users out there than there are Android users. So I think that you're probably going to find that that's going to be the most.
I'm not sure I think that has been true. I've been reading things that lead me to believe that the other might be true now.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the, what you get from Google Analytics, it tells you if it's an Android or a iPhone kind of thing. I know I've been migrating towards the Mac side of it, just because my kids all use that. It's been difficult.
I prefer Apple products.
I
think they're better.
I had an Android, and because same thing, I was on a Princeton family thing, and so I just went with it's much better.
Really? Okay. See, I've never used both. I've always been an iPhone person, so.
Creative touch usually are.
Well, so that was one of the things that we had talked about last time, and I had that out there for new initiatives.
You want to move into new business, the projected balance and projected
Yes.
revenues?
Yes. So, each year we figure that, well, of course, this depends on how many of these initiatives that you will approve during the year. But each year we figure that there will be a carry forward from the previous year into the next year on the Tourism Tax Commission dollars. And in the past, that has fluctuated somewhat, but generally it's been about 14 to 16.
Even sometimes a little higher. And it was kind of developed because at one time the Tourism Tax Commission paid for the printing of the brochure. And not only the printing of the brochure, but also the match for the state thing. But it's also important to have some carryover because of cash flow. We can't spend money we don't have. It's one of the things that's against the law. And so you got to have that little carryover before we generate enough. So that's why we have it. But I think we talked about maybe reducing the amount down to maybe something not 20,000, but maybe more 10,000 or something like that.
Right.
Approximately 50% of the annual
Yeah.
revenue.
It's considered a safe
Yeah.
practice. So with that in mind, that was kind of where we started with the discussion of potential projects. And, we have the expenses that we have year to year, which you can see in the financial report.
It's a little short now because we only got 3 months on there. I mean, it doesn't have all of the,
Right. So every year, our Drury Southwest sign costs us $5,700, and the Lamar sign, excuse me, now we have 2 Drury signs. So we can figure that we're going to have, in terms of our repeat expenditures, we'll have about 8,000 in repeat expenditures. And then the new things tend to come and go. Like if we decide to make search engine marketing a regular expenditure, and we tend to do more large projects out of this committee, like television advertising is what we've done traditionally out of this program. Like in January of last year, we had almost $6,000 in television advertising through our KTVI program in St. Louis. So,
just go back again, I thought it cost us about 12,000 a year for the 2 signs altogether.
yes,
Yeah,
6 and 6.
Yeah, but you said something lower
Did I
than that.
misspeak?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I feel like, and I understand what you're saying about take a look at the data from the search engine marketing, because I see that, and you need to see that. So, but I feel like search engine marketing and the moving forward with, the kiosk project, I think would be significant for this, for the Tourism Tax Commission to consider. I also feel like some of our regular ads that we tend to get through the grant program has been shrinking. The grant program in the smaller communities, because it's based on the number of room nights that you can sell per night, we're limited much more so than some of our neighbors around us in how much we are eligible for now in terms of that 50% matching program through the state. So I think that advertising would be another recommended program for us. And this was something that I handed out at the last meeting, but Rural Missouri Magazine is one magazine that comes out once a month. It's, for us, it comes through our Citizens Electric Co-op. It stays on the coffee table a long time. They also include online advertising, which is something that we're moving to more and more often. We have, if we have a print ad, we're looking for an online presence to sort of leverage that spend that we have with the print ad. So that was something that I proposed at the last meeting too, was to consider doing a regular ad in the Rural Missouri Magazine. And of course, it's nice when we can get the editorial coverage too.
I wonder what their coverage is around. I'm sure they're not in the St. Louis area, the big city area. I just wonder what their coverage is throughout the state.
I have that information. I can send that out.
Yeah, they have been good to us. I mean, they had the free listings, and they had put our pictures in there, and they've done well on restaurants, and
Yeah, they were just in our shop today doing a shoot.
Oh, it was this week? Good.
Today, that was today.
Yeah, I think rural Missouri is a really good place to go.
Why don't we put a budget together for next month?
Okay.
And we'll work that out, and kind of like, we kind of know about what we do on lodging, and we know what our carryover was at the end of the year, and we can put a budget together to end up with that, about 10,000 in reserve by the end of the year.
Where are these two signs located, the Drury signs?
Okay, so if you're headed southbound from Festus toward St. Genevieve, on the right-hand side,
I see that one.
okay,
I
so
see that
that's the
one. That one's really
southbound
nice.
one.
Okay.
And we just got that. For years, we didn't have one north of us. So our goal was to have one coming up 55 from the south and one coming down from St. Louis. So that's what we call the new Drury sign. And then our other Drury sign is down just outside of Cape Girardeau. It's on the right-hand side of the interstate, so it's a right-hand read as you're going northbound on the interstate. And the graphics and the layout is exactly the same as the one that you're familiar with up there.
Okay.
So we actually get quite a few people through the Welcome Center that tell us, you know, I was driving down the interstate, saw that sign and said, we've been meaning to go there for years, why don't we just go? It happens a lot. So now we have two. For years, we had two northbound, yeah. One near Jackson and one near Ozora. And the Ozora one is actually expiring this year, and it was decided earlier that we wouldn't renew that one.
Right.
Because we were able to get the one on Interstate 55 south. And because we didn't feel that we needed two from the
Right,
north.
that makes more sense.
Yeah. So those are the two.
Do you have anything that you need approved now, or can we wait till next month to do?
Actually, I would like to at least approve like 3 months maybe of the search engine marketing, which...
So whenever you say that, it's like, what are they typing in, or what are you gonna target?
So with the search engine marketing, we have keywords, and we, everything from things to do in Missouri to, sometimes people type in St. Genevieve or places to stay or day trips from St. Louis or historic sites. So we have, I won't say hundreds, but it's probably, it's more than 50 keywords that people might type in when they're doing a search, and it will come up with, you know, the St. Genevieve.
Flood.
Like, are we in like are we in the top 5 whenever they pull them up, like these keywords, or, because I know they're more expensive however you are on the list.
Yeah, so they try to get it on the front page, so that usually is the top 5, and they're going for organic search as opposed to the paid search. So, yeah, so they're trying to get on the first page.
Okay.
And I don't know about you, but I never, it's a strong word, but I rarely click through to the second page of results.
I don't either.
When I'm searching. Because you just usually do find what you're looking for, so.
You know, I click through if it's a paid ad. If the front page is just all paid ads.
You'll go to the
I'll go to the second
second
page, yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed they've gotten a lot sneakier, like on news things now, you always have to hit a more button to read the whole article. Or if
Right.
if it has a list of the top 20 universities or something, you can't see it all at once, you gotta go through every page.
And each one's
I
got a
just
pop-up
finally
ad.
I give up after a while.
Or the next button is hidden somewhere.
And you gotta go down. Yeah. It's starting to get really irritating.
Yeah, past the paid ads, et cetera.
Well, yes, but it's still free.
Yeah.
So if we could, maybe if we could approve 3 months worth of search engine marketing through the Madden Media program.
Said about 900 or?
Yeah, so not to exceed, and if I need to adjust it next meeting, I
Okay.
can.
I'll entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Kathleen, a second?
Second.
Tom? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Okay.
All opposed, nay. No.
Tom's
No nays.
first,
Yay.
Getting tired. Good. Okay, motion approved. Any other business to come before the board? If not, I would like to thank Leslie Barker for her time on the board. It was kind of short, but I wish her well in her new exciting thing in life.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I'd love to go back to school, but it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
I'd actually be a better student now than I was.
Oh, I'm
We took
sure I'd be a
our
better
son to
student.
college.
it's
They
just
said-
money, that's all it is.
We took our son to college and they said, this is the best years of your life. It's like living in a country club. You got free ball, free athletics, free plays, free all this. I'm going, study.
You want to hear that country club stuff?
Where's he going?
No, he was at University of Delaware. Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. Did we do the adjournment?
No.
No, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Kathleen, a second?
Second.
Well, we adjourn.
All right.
All-